Good evening. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this show. We are back for the North London podcast. It's just us three tonight because COVID and flus and colds are going around and making everyone ill. On my show tonight, so many people cancelled yesterday, Monday night, Tuesday night. This week has been the week of colds and flus, man. I tell you, nobody that I know is 100% well. It's crazy. Let's ask these two if they feel all right. Lee, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I reckon it's that old Spurs lurgy going about or something.
Yeah,
that lurgy, yeah.
Old lurgy, I'm all right. I'm fine. I've been all right. You know what I mean? I know a couple of people have gone down with it, but yeah, I'm still a little bit down going into yesterday, like a little bit down. But yesterday's win at Brentford picked me up slightly, Dan. Picked me up slightly.
Good man. I'm glad. I haven't felt too well this week, if I'm honest, but I'm probably about 85% there now. Henry, welcome back to the show. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good. It felt a bit rough Tuesday. I mean, yeah, this week there seems to be a lot going around, but Sunday I was, quite disappointed, to be honest, because we should have come away with 3 points, but we didn't. Game of two halves, and we go into this week. Obviously, you boys have played the League Cup football. We've just sat and just chilled out and watched a bit of Netflix and a bit of Emma Dow. And now we go in. We got another massive game on Saturday as well. So
yeah, you have, man.
And if we get 3 points out of that, I think our next 4 games are Luton, Wolves, Fulham, and Palace. So I don't know, if we beat Liverpool, we could go on a bit of a run. I'm not saying title race or anything like that, but if we go and get a bit of a run going, I don't know, like get into January, injury free, go and get Ivan Toney. Everyone's a winner.
Mate, it's optimistic, man.
Do you look at it? I was talking to one of our Spurs mates yesterday, as it happens, and he said it was a missed opportunity. He said, I felt like with the players that you had out and the way it was going, he said, I felt it was a missed opportunity. Don't get me wrong, he said, I was pleased with the point, you know what I mean, like to come away without it. But looking back on it, he felt it was a missed opportunity. Do you feel that, Henry? Or
do you know what? My thoughts going into the game, I said for about a 10-day period, I feel we'll get something. Because Arsenal just don't seem to be clicking. They're getting results and they're dragging themselves through results, but something's not clicking. And I thought, we're just quietly going about our business. And then the fact that Son and Postecoglou both come out in the week and said, we're going to scare the life out of them. We're going to turn up. And I'm like, don't do that. Game started. Going about an hour before I saw that lineup, I was like, Tottenham are going to get something today. I looked at it and just the way you set up immediately is very similar to what you done. I thought just get through the first 15 minutes. When I thought it was going to go peak Tong was when Udogie got yellow carded. As soon as he got yellow carded, I thought Saka's going to kill him. He's going to be running rings around him and he'll get sent off. But I'll be honest, that's the worst I've seen you play in an North London derby in about 15 years at the Emirates. I mean, I've been at the Emirates. I was there when Dyer shushed your lot, which Son did. And then under Unai Emery, you spanked us 4-2. But you guys, I don't know what is going on. Even last night, I mean, I don't think you were amazing last night. You got the job done, but I don't know what it is. Like, people can say injuries. You got Trossard out, you got Saka out, you got Rice out, but it's just the football you're playing. You're not like the fan base that I've obviously speak to a lot of Gooners. They're all like a bit. Some are either we're only 1 point worse off than last season. Some are like, the performances are not there, and others are just in the middle. I just think you don't look, I'm going to be honest, you don't look anywhere near last year. Forget the points and forget the results. On the performances last year, going to the Emirates at the beginning of this, I think you won, 9 out of your first 10 games? Something like that, or 10 out of the first 11. You went on a fantastic run, and every single game you was giving 8, 9 out of 10 performances all over the park. Saliba was your best player. By every time someone tried to get past him, he was covering up. The manager, Arteta, why he's taking off Gabriel Jesus and leaving Nketiah on the pitch, to me is absolutely baffling. It is baffling. And I look at certain things. I think Saka, other than his goal and the penalty, I thought he was very quiet. Right? I think you missed Martinelli. If Martinelli was playing, that is a different game. Because
Yeah, I said that.
Because as soon as I think you've just, I don't want to say you've become predictable, but teams now know how you play, so they know how to set up against you. And I look at the Nottingham Forest game. If that was 10 or 15 minutes longer, they might have got a point, because that last 10 or 15 minutes they were going at you in Elanga's pace. I look at the Crystal Palace game. You went down to 10 men. You showed a lot of character. You got the win. You stole. Well, you didn't steal it. You won late against Man United. Fulham, I don't know how they got a point against you going down to 10 men. Then you played us. I think you've probably had 2 really good performances out your first 7 games. The other 5 have been a bit up and down. And then I look at us, and we've probably had 6 good performances out of our 7. The only one that I thought was a bit hit and miss was the first game of the season, where it's a bit expected. But we've all the players have taken like a duck to water with this formation. The players that look like Udoji's 20 years of age, looks like he's been playing in the Premier League for years. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but our fans are calling, Madders Mascoin, because he's, absolutely unreal for us at the moment. Everything he's doing is touching to gold. Son, no Harry Kane now. We're at the Emirates. You're the captain. You're the most experienced player on that pitch and goes and gets a brace. And maybe if Porro plays that, he could have had a hat-trick. I don't know. I just think your site's not clicking for you lot. And I think if it doesn't, you've got I think you've got 21 games between now and January the 15th. You've got a lot of football to play. And I think if it doesn't eventually start clicking for you lot, you're going to drop, well, obviously you're going to drop points eventually, but something's not going to, I don't know. I think something's not right behind the scenes in that dressing room. Like, I don't think they're all buying into it. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you
I agree with everything you've said. I don't think there's one thing you've just said that I think, oh no, you're miles off the key there, Henry. Miles off there. Everything you've said is spot on. And I can see why Spurs fans are getting excited by Maddison, the player I wanted at Arsenal that everyone told me isn't needed because we've got Havertz and Vieira. 40 million is an absolute steal, mate. He was the best player on the pitch by quite some distance, in my opinion, at the weekend. And, Son, big up to Son, big up to Bissouma, who I think has been class for you as well this season, who's actually finally playing now. Why he didn't play him last year, I don't get it. But there we go. That's another story. I think what Ange Postecoglou's done in 6 games is shown how Spurs can play football. So fair play to you, right? All I will say is I don't know that the squad right now, and I know you've only got 1 game a week, I think you're a couple of injuries away from looking at a different Tottenham. And that's the problem, Henry. Like, you've got Maddison and Bissouma. Imagine if they get injured. Do you know what I mean?
We're getting injuries to either centre-back, Van der Ven, who looks absolute class. He looks like Jan Vertonghen with pace. If we get an injury to him, Bissouma, Maddison or Romero, we could be either challenging for Champions League places or challenging for 8th, 9th. That's the difference. And this is what you lot have got.
Do you think, right, what was mad, right, for me? Romero's amazing. Then he scores an own goal and gives away a handball, and everyone's talking about him. Mate, why were they even talking about him? That Van der Ven left him dead in the water. He was much better than Romero, Van der Ven.
22 as well. He's just had his call up for the national team. They're already saying that, the Netherlands are going to be in good hands with him and Botman as a centre-back partnership. I think he is absolute class. I think the way he reads the game, you can't play a ball over the top because he's so quick. He's good. The only thing he's not good is good in the air. But the way, Romero last year was making so many decisions, and they were saying, but bad decisions. But he's playing next to Dyer. It don't matter who you're playing next to if you're still making bad decisions every single week. You put him next to Van der Ven, and it's like, now we've got a defender. Forget Romero, who's been good, but now we've actually got a defender. But you are right. If we get an injury to Van der Ven, Romero, if Romero gets injured, we've got Dyer coming in. If Van der Ven gets injured, we've got Davies coming in. If Maddison gets injured, we've got Lo Celso. We don't actually have cover for Bissouma right now. It looks like Højbjerg's going to be leaving for Juventus in January. So whatever money we get, go out and buy another defender. We have to. Otherwise, we get an injury, we're in big, big trouble. Same as you lot now. Rice, if Rice gets injured, who's your cover? Jorginho. Is he at the same level? No, he's not. If Saliba gets injured right now, who's your cover? If Saka gets injured, who's going to go out on that right side? Reece Nelson. Is he the same level? No. The drop-off, the only team who's got that much cover is Man City. Everyone
Yeah.
else is kind of got a great 11, but the drop off is for us, mate. It's if Dyer comes back on his team, we generally like that's panic stations.
Have you still got Lloris?
Yeah, I mean, this geezer was supposed to. He hasn't played a game for us since what's it now, the 28th of September. He hasn't played a game for us since April. Right, he rejected a loan move to Lazio because he wanted to play first team. This geezer's 36 years of age. Like, what team do you think you're gonna top team? Do you think you're gonna go in and start for? Italy's probably the best destination for him because Lazio, in and around the European places, he's not good with his feet. He's past his best. He had 10 great years now, and now he's sitting on. He's not even playing for like the under 23s or anything. He's just sitting in the stand every week taking his paycheck.
I can't believe that he didn't go. I'm shocked he didn't go if that was the option for him. But listen, I think Tottenham are looking very good. I can't help but like your manager. I mean, obviously, I don't like him because of who he manages, but I think he's a top bloke. I mean, he comes across so well in the media, I must say. I loved what he did with the fans forum thing. Thought that was class, absolute class. That I mean, I commented on that and tweeted it because I thought it was top quality. For that young lad, you just see that's just made that young lad's life, isn't it? Not just his day.
Yeah,
That was absolutely amazing.
Himself. He seems like a genuine bloke.
He does seem like a genuine bloke. But he clearly knows what he's doing because he's got you playing. I mean, it's not taking Einstein to walk in there and to work out that Bissouma and Maddison can actually complement each other in that midfield, and that Son is better through the middle now that he's hit his 30s and can't play off the left anymore. I think he's going to find the best out of Kulusevski. You've still got Bentancur to come back. He's found a partnership in Van der Ven and Romero. That Destiny, I'm not going to say his surname. Is it a doggy or a doji? A doggy. He looks good. And I'll tell you why he looks good. Because Saka started to have his number. And then when he got booked, I thought, here we go. Perfect. That's what we need.
That's what I thought, we're going to be
he's
getting sent off here.
He didn't really get past him much after that, though, did he? So I thought, it's fair play. So, listen, you said it. Tottenham have got a good side. Have Tottenham got a good squad? No. But Tottenham have got a good first 11, and that might be what they need with one game a week this season. Lee, what's your thoughts, man? Spurs.
Yeah, listen, I was impressed with them. Too early to go mad about it and all that. But I was impressed with them. I've got to say that. I'm impressed with Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison. I thought that they played really, really well. It was a good game in the first half. I felt that Arsenal started off really well, and then there was a spell of about 10, 15 minutes towards the end that Tottenham come really back into it. And then I'm thinking, right, second half, let's get on with it. And then when I see the two substitutions, I was a little bit worried. So when we got the penalty, I was relieved, to be fair. To concede like we did straight away was a bit annoying, obviously. But then I felt like it was very, very even. I think maybe Spurs were nicking it. And I think that, to be honest, I know that everybody's going on about Ange and everything there. I don't know. I felt that the two substitutions were negative for him.
I agree.
Taking off Maddison and taking off Song. I thought then we got the initiative back in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. And so we was going to nick it. I thought Spurs defended it well and probably like a fair result in the end, as I say. But I felt that while them two were on the pitch, there was always a chance that they could nick a goal or create something, But at the end of the day, look, Spurs will say, look, we're away from home, we're unbeaten. That's a good point for them. And I felt from our point of view, it was disappointing because being 1-0 up and 2-1 up and not getting the job done is a little bit annoying. But on the whole of it, I have to say that I thought Spurs were worthy of their point, and I was very impressed. I was disappointed with the way Arsenal played at times. I think on the right-hand side, once the left back, the doggy got booked, I felt we never really exploited that. We never really pushed down that flank that much. I think a little bit that was down to because we lost the midfield, if I'll be honest. I think in the second half, I thought that Spurs took over the midfield, where in the first half, I thought it was very, very even. And at the end of it, I think as disappointed as I am when you look on it, and I'm not making excuses that the injuries that we had, we didn't lose. So that's how I look at it. And we got there were times when maybe do you know when we lost 3-2 how many years ago? I could see that happening at the end. I could see
you missed the ball.
Yes,
2011, I think that was.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
We was cruising at one stage in that game, and then like Spurs, I just felt there was might be a little sting in the tail at the end there. So for me, like it was about when the 10 minutes went up. I think it was it 10? They said 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes.
I turned around and said to my mate, I'll take the point now. Like I think that over the years, and Henry makes a very good point there. Even when Spurs were better than us through a period of Pochettino, we always played magnificently well in the derby. I remember going there one year. Spurs, I thought Spurs, and I remember Mustafi scored from an header, and we won 2-0.
Oh yeah, 2-0. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we were
played really well, and that's
took...
when Tottenham were at their powers. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm struggling to think when was the last time we played at the Emirates where I turned around and thought we didn't play well, we didn't do this and we didn't do that. It's the first time for a long while we've not been there. I have to say, I didn't think the Emirates crowd were up for it as well. Maybe because of team selection, maybe because of the way the game was going. I don't know if you noticed it, Dan, but
yeah, it was the worst. If I'm honest with you, it's the worst London derby I've been to in a long time, and it's also the worst from the crowd. It was flat. I don't know if it's the balloting system or what it is, but I've been saying it a few times now. This not quite right, the atmosphere since this new system's come in, but everyone says it's nothing to do with that. But I thought that was a bit of a strange one. And I will say this, like I was saying for a long time, that we ain't quite done enough in our midfield. And I was on with Deluded earlier, and he said to me, where do you think we're weakest? And I said, I think we're still weak in every single position, mate, in terms of I think we're defender short, a midfielder short, and a central forward short, and a winger short. And then we just went through it and thought, yeah, you're right. Rice and Partey go out. We've got Jorginho and Havertz. Like, Chelsea didn't want either of them. Do you know what I mean? So I have problems with it, man. I have problems with it. And I just feel like what Henry was saying is actually quite right. Now, the only positives are that we're not happy with how we're playing and we ain't lost a game yet, right? So there ain't like crisis, oh my God, like Chelsea or Man United. Tottenham are really happy, really happy.
The only thing I'd say on that, though, Potts, is if you do lose a game now, the meltdown is going to be a massive meltdown. It'll be, we haven't played well. I don't know if you've got the weekend. I think you've got Bournemouth away, haven't you?
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah.
Let's say you lose to Bournemouth. I think it'll be a massive meltdown.
Oh, of course it will. That would have happened even if we're playing really well, though. But for me, like, I think there's just something not right with the Arsenal at the moment. Injuries ain't helped at all, to be fair.
No, and in saying that, if Jesus takes that chance... it should have been 3-1 up in the first half. Yeah, exactly.
But then again, if Ray doesn't, save the Titanic with that flipping save.
Oh yeah,
if Johnson gets any full contact on that.
Yeah, but we would have been 2-0 up then. I know. It's ifs, bats, and maybes. I know, but like that chance, if Eddie would have done that, guys, there would have been murders. You know what I mean? Like, I think a little bit there, Jesus. You know what I mean? To be fair. I know Jorginho's got stick for losing the ball now. There was a lot more for Maddison and Song to do than what Jesus had to do. He could have run that into the net. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't be you cannot be not taking chances like that against a team like Tottenham. You know what I mean? When you've got them not on the rack, but you've got them where you want them 1-0 up. And I felt in the second half we didn't really create too much, and I think you've got to give Spurs credit for that. Like, do
you not give Odegaard like any criticism? Because I thought he was very quiet, like the whole game.
Terrible.
Like,
I think he made 18 passes or something. It was terrible.
It was tough because we lost the midfield, didn't we? Like, you know what I mean? It was very, very, very difficult.
You're the captain. You got to pick everyone up and say, if that's Vieira, he's screaming at players. If that's Roy Keane or even the likes of Henderson. Like Son, when we lost the ball, he doesn't lead by, he's not a captain, he leads by example. He's a bit like Kane. He was screaming at Pedro Porro when he lost the ball, and I'm like, okay, we're seeing a different player now. I thought Odegaard was just, if I look at him in his performances last season, in the North London derby at our ground, he scored, right, a great goal. I think he scored, Jesus scored, Saka scored the penalty. I can't remember who scored the other goal. Oh, Thomas Partey scored, didn't he? But last year was phenomenal. We couldn't get near him. That game, I mean, half the time I didn't even know if he was playing. You know,
he's entitled. Listen, he's entitled to one bad game. He's been playing well. I just didn't think things clicked up front. I think what happens is you've got to have that with Eddie playing up front. I just think it was a mistake. You know what I mean? I look at Eddie and I think like, yeah, he done all right yesterday when we're away from home because we press a little bit differently. But for this game, I felt, like the interaction play between, if you got like the connections weren't there. And it just didn't happen for him. Like, sometimes a game can bypass you away and all that, and it did in midfield. I'm just going to have to, my light's flickering. Hold on a second. Carry on.
Yeah, no worries. You're all good. Do you think, though, Henry, now, like looking at Spurs, your expectations have changed now that you've got 6 games in, you've seen the style of play, you look at the situation of what Postecoglou's done and think, yeah, a lot of people had Spurs 8th, 9th, 7th, 6th. Do you think Tottenham could get 4th or 5th Champions League football now? Because I look around, mate, and I think you can. Everyone looks terrible.
I said this the other day. I can't remember whose channel I was on. I might have been on. I can't remember who it was. I was saying the top 3, I think, is pretty standard. It's going to be, I think City will win the league, and I think it's between Arsenal and Liverpool will fight for second. That 4th spot, I look at it right now and think we've only got 1 game a week. We haven't got an FA Cup game until early Jan. If we can get until January, it's a big ask, and have no injuries, which is a massive ask, right? I think there's a good chance we'll get back into the Champions League. I look at United, they played their best football the other night against Crystal Palace without Fernandes or Rashford. Chelsea, scored their first goal of the month yesterday on the 27th of September. They're in absolute turmoil. It wouldn't surprise me if Pochettino, I reckon it will be sacked before Christmas. The run of games they've got coming up, that it is going to be out the door. I look at Newcastle. They're the other team I'm thinking they've had a tough start. Things are starting to come together now. Beat City last night, an 8-0 win at the weekend. It wouldn't surprise me if they got kicked out of that Champions League group and go back to 1 game a week until the FA Cup comes in. Or I know they've got League Cup as well, but I look around and go, the top 3, that's it. Liverpool and Arsenal are going to push City as much as they can. But the 4th and 5th spots for Champions Leagues, if I was to put a bet on it right now, I'd say Tottenham and Brighton. I don't think Brighton will do well in Europe. I think they'll get knocked out, and the football they're playing, like I think they're going to do very, very well this season.
Yeah, I do. I think.
So what we've got to do, what could happen with something is what happened with Arsenal last season. They get on the crest of a wave, winning games are like, as Henry said there, beat Liverpool at the weekend, which I think they will do, to be fair. The way they
I think
the problem is we've won 1 of our last 21 games against Liverpool.
There you go, Drew, win then, ain't you?
With 14 games without a win. The last time we beat
it's
them
at your place, though, right? It's not Anfield.
Yeah,
is it?
it is our place.
There's any pressure on Spurs at the moment. I don't mean that in a.
That's what we want, though. We want to just quietly go about our business.
Yeah, I think you can say to like Spurs like last week. You know what I mean? I thought there was pressure on Arsenal to win that game, and it showed. And next week, this game at the weekend again. You know what I mean? If I'm the manager, I'll say right, let's just give it a go. We'll see what happens. Give it, the fans would get up behind us because, we're attacking and all that. Like, and I honestly believe this, and I'm not being horrible when I say this or whatever. If Spurs give it a go and fail to Liverpool, there won't be a meltdown about it. They'll be all right. Well, we'll dust ourselves down, as Henry says. We've got 4 games that we can win the next 4 games, and we'll go again. And so I do think that it was a little bit like that with us last season. Do you remember, Dan? We was like, all of a sudden, then we beat Liverpool at home, we beat Man United at home, and all of a sudden, you're on a crest of a wave, and you think like, you can't wait for the next game, and also for Spurs, I think like, when you win like or a result, they've got to wait a week now for the game, right? So the fans are going to be up for it on Saturday because they've had 7 days since they played the Arsenal, and you're up for games a little bit more, like, do you know what I mean? So I do think that this is a really crucial game for Tottenham if they win this or don't lose it. You know what I mean? I think that they could start picking up some points, and before you know it, as you said, Man United have dropped another 2 points. Chelsea might drop some more points. All of a sudden, like, there's a gap between Chelsea and Tottenham of 10, 12 points. That's going to be hard to make up if Chelsea and that hit the top form. So I think Spurs could really push in there, like, you know. So, but that, you know, Liverpool are a good side. They've got it's a real big test for Liverpool. You know, everybody sort of saying that they're going to be challenging for the title. So it'd be an interesting game on Saturday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I agree. And I personally have said for 2 weeks now that I think Tottenham will beat Liverpool, and I stand by it. I think Liverpool can be got at. Liverpool score goals, by the way. You ain't going to beat them 1-0, 2-0. They're going to score goals, but I think Tottenham will score goals as well. Liverpool can be got at, mate. They can be. I've seen Wolves that should be 2-0 up against them. I've seen West Ham that should be 2-0 up against them. If that's Son, it's 2-0. But because Antonio's missed his header and Cunha has missed his header and chested it, it's still given Liverpool a chance. I think Tottenham would it. I don't think Tottenham are going to be as well. They're going to go title race stuff, but I do think Tottenham are going to have an okay season in comparison to what people thought. Yeah, exactly. Well, people are, aren't they? People are starting to go, we would have beaten Arsenal. I fancy
saying the other day, they were saying, is James Maddison at the moment the best player in Europe? And I'm like, hang on. Like, let's let us quietly go about our business. He's had 6 good games. It's one player of the month. We don't want anyone to talk about us. Because this is what happened with Arsenal.
The thing is, he was doing that for Leicester as well, but no one wanted to talk about it because it was Leicester. That's what I will say. Yeah. He's been quality for years, James Maddison. This ain't like, where's this guy come from? Do you know what I mean? This guy's quality.
He should be that number 10 for England. If he plays that number 10, you know, I don't understand why you didn't buy him. You could have said, you could have had him and Odegaard as your attacking midfielders. Yep. Declan Rice, Partey, and Jorginho. You should have kept Xhaka, right? You're talking your midfield now. You're talking as good as City's.
I feel that's a great point. I think Arsenal should have kept Xhaka for another year, just to you know. I think we've missed his leadership as well. Like, what I didn't like about Maddison, not, and it's not having a go at him. There were a few times when there was fouls and he was trying to pick our players up and all that. Like, his Xhaka was there, you know, get away and all that. Like, not, you know. I felt that Maddison was nicey with the players when he weren't really. He was playing the game. You know what I mean?
Winding them up, like yeah,
in a nice way, not in a. It was clever. It was clever what he was doing, and no one at Arsenal put a stop to it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so.
Well, I think as Gary Neville mentioned it, didn't he, Lee? The lack of leadership still at Arsenal. Says there is a lack of leadership still.
Yeah, like Xhaka was a big part of that. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's just something I still don't think we've quite got to grips with at this moment in time. It's true what Lone Star London is saying. Xhaka didn't want to be on the bench all the time. I get that. But would he have been on the bench all the time? I know, like, rotation and all that. Like, I think that somewhere along the line, maybe Xhaka didn't want to be this rotation thing, which you're going to have at Arsenal this season, you know, when you've got games coming quick and fast. I don't know, like, you know.
I don't think
games, haven't you? You've got so many games.
That's the thing,
yeah,
Henry.
we've got to rotate, Henry, like, you know.
We're always saying about it, and we've already got 7 injuries already, and there's only 7 games gone, you know. Yeah. So we've got to look at this. Oh, we don't want to sit on a bench. You won't be. That's why I've wanted to keep Tierney. You won't be sitting on a bench. We've got so many games. You know, we're talking about Brentford last night, which we ain't even talked about yet. We've got the weekend game. Then we've got Lons on Tuesday. Then we've got City. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. People, you know, Tottenham have got the 1 game a week thing. That's going to be fine with 14.
Do you know how many games we've got in October? We've got 3 games next month. You lot have got 7.
There you go. See, so listen, that's Tottenham as far as I'm concerned. I think you'll go and push for the Champions League this season. 1 game a week.
Could I just say on one thing there, Dan? You know what I mean? That's what we wanted.
100%. Yeah, we're not moaning about it.
That's 100%. What you want. I'd rather be us than Tottenham with only 3 games because.
Oh, we're sitting here. I'm bored out of me nut, mate.
You know, that's what Champions League is about. You know what I mean? Getting into the Champions League. We've all wanted it. You know what I mean? And with that comes lots of games, and that's what you want. You know, we've got a game Saturday, and then we've got a game to look forward to Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, we had a game yesterday.
You've got 6 games next month, 6, not 7.
You know, so there are 6 games. So at the end of it, it's what we've been praying for the last few years. So I think, you know, we've got to suck it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. Like, you know, so Looking
Listen,
forward to France.
I'm with you. Like, you know, I'm looking forward to Lons, looking forward to the Premier League games as well. And now we've got West Ham in the Carabao Cup, which is what I want to come on to next.
That massive
Henry,
club.
Henry, how did you get on in the Carabao Cup?
I was watching EastEnders, mate. Listen, how we lost to Fulham in that game on flipping penalties, right? And
I don't know why you didn't put a full strength side out,
Who
mate.
did Fulham have yesterday? They won yesterday to Fulham, didn't they? Who did they play?
Yeah, I think they had Norwich. So
Beaten
they had
Norwich.
Norwich at home. So we would have.
So Tottenham would have beaten Norwich. Who they got now, Fulham?
Ipswich.
Missed opportunity,
honestly,
Henry. Missed
not only that,
opportunity.
all of the Premier League teams are playing each other. You know, Man United playing Newcastle, Bournemouth playing Liverpool, West Ham playing Arsenal, Everton, Burnley.
And Man City gone out as well.
They got Ipswich away. Tough game, by the way.
You know what I mean? Ridiculous decision that from Ange. So he's made a couple of mistakes along the road.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. We haven't won a trophy coming up 15 years. That was come on, play full strength squad. We've got one game a week. You're
not been horrible. You could have rested a few players against Norwich at home because they're, you know what I mean, and then maybe even a few against Ipswich because Ipswich are going to rest players. I think
they're flying now, aren't they? Ipswich, they're
yeah. It's good to see, man. I like Ipswich because they're near me.
Managerial versus Port Vale, another game. So, like, you actually
Can you believe that? The first two balls picked out by them two. Like, I couldn't believe it.
You could actually, like Fulham, for instance, now could beat Ipswich, play Mansfield or Port Vale, Exeter or Middlesbrough, and then you're all of a sudden in the semi-finals without playing a Premier League side.
United did last year, didn't they?
And that's how you've got to look at it. Like, you know what I mean? And for the love of the money, Arsenal can't get an home draw for anything at the moment.
Speaking of home draws, Man United have had 14 on the bounce.
Yes, it's a record, isn't it?
14 on the bounce.
That is crazy.
Yeah. The last time we was at home was Brighton, wasn't it? In the League Cup.
That West Ham game is going to be tough because I think it's on the 31st of October, that game, which is a Tuesday night, and I think I think you'll win. You've got Sheffield on the 28th.
Yeah, and Sheffield United and then Newcastle after.
Yeah, I think we're going to be playing on the Wednesday, the 1st of November. So we play on a Wednesday, and then on Saturday we got Newcastle away.
So West Ham have got Olympiacos on the 26th, Everton on the 29th, and then you in midweek. So they've got, you're both pretty busy. I think you'll win that. I think you'll win that 1-0. You know, I
hope we do West Ham because Lawless will just be insufferable if they beat us.
It'll be unbearable.
What I like about that draw, though, is that what I do like about that draw, where I didn't like the draw yesterday, was that Brentford didn't make a lot of changes because they haven't got Europe and all that. West Ham will rotate. They will rotate. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes it a little bit more even, like, for us. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I don't like going to teams like Fulham away. I'm not being on saying like Fulham away. Tottenham away would be a worry if they were still in it. Sorry, Henry. Chelsea would be a worry because they're not
teams aren't going to make any changes. They're
not going to make no changes. No, like, you know, and I look at Man United at the moment with their goalkeeper. Like, I was very surprised to see him playing on the Tuesday. So it's opened up the draw, Dan. It's opened up a little bit.
Let me ask you both this: who, if you had to pick a winner now that Man City are out, who would you go for? Because I still wouldn't go for us because I don't think Arteta will take it 100% seriously still. I think I'd go Liverpool.
No.
Chelsea.
Go on.
United.
Really?
United.
I was going to go Liverpool and Newcastle, but
I think United will just get... I think they'll be the sort of team that will beat Newcastle and then get Exeter at home, beat Exeter, get Port Vale at home. They did it last... I think Liverpool... I think it could be United-Liverpool final. But I tell you what, I'm probably going to get clipped up for this. Don't be surprised if Chelsea go and win that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Henry, because Chelsea they won't rest players.
But what have they shown so far? They're going to
get better. They will get better. They beat Brighton.
Brighton. Yeah, but Brighton, I don't know what sort of team they put out.
Yeah, exactly that. They made changes. They made a lot of changes yesterday, Brighton. Like, you know what I mean?
Did they? Yeah. So I
just Pedro. The
I
who,
don't
the
see
or.
Chelsea beating Liverpool, Newcastle, or Arsenal, if I'm honest. But I might be wrong.
You get luck of the draw, though. What happens if you get Newcastle in the next round, then Newcastle
Yeah,
get United, and
listen,
Chelsea
that could
get...
happen.
Exactly that. It opens out, like, you know what I mean? As you say, like, you know,
I think out of all the teams, Chelsea are the ones who need to win it more than anyone because they're not going to win anything, are they? They're out
West
of
Ham
everything.
fancy themselves
West
after.
Ham, yeah.
If West Ham were to beat Arsenal, you know what I mean? They've got a home draw. They'd be
that'd be
pleased about that.
unbearable if they win another trophy. That'd be
Yeah,
unbearable.
they've won one trophy. You know what I mean? They'd be looking at it and thinking, can we win another one? Like, you know,
I think Liverpool. I think Liverpool got they just score goals, don't they? Liverpool. Like they
where are
just
Liverpool? They home in the next round or away? They're away to Bournemouth. That's not going to be easy
Bournemouth.
because Bournemouth
Got
won't rest.
Bournemouth.
They've
They
won
don't have a
some
great
games.
record at Bournemouth
players.
as it goes, but
So
They've-
listen, don't write off Bournemouth in that game. You know what I mean? Like if Liverpool make loads of changes, you know, Bournemouth.
you can't write off anyone. I get that, but Liverpool are the ones I think will probably do it
They've
because
got
they're in the
so much
Europa
firepower,
League.
haven't they? So much firepower.
Yeah, they've got 5 strikers. You
I'm
know
back
what I
in
mean?
the Arsenal. I'm back in the Arsenal.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, that's my next question. Because go on, Henry. Go on, quick, go on.
I was going to say if because the deeper you go into that competitions, you're going to have. I think the next round would be, I think it's the end of November, and then there's 2 rounds in January, and then the finals in February.
That's right. Yeah.
In January, that would mean you'd have, hypothetically, if you was to get through, you'd have 2 League Cup games, an FA Cup game, and 3 Premier League games in the space of 3.5 weeks. Because I don't know if you lot know, there's a 2-week winter break now.
Yeah, winter break as well. Like, yeah.
So your January and February, along with Champions League coming back, if you assuming you top the group, you'd have last 16. Your fixture pile up is going to be, very congested. Plus, African Cup of Nations, you'll lose Thomas Partey. Have you got any other?
El Neni
And
and Tommy Asu in the Asian Cup as well.
Yeah.
Because is the Asian Cup?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're losing them 3.
That's
so
finished. That's Bissouma, Son, and Sarr. That's 3 of our 11 gone out. What?
yeah,
I didn't
it's
think
crazy,
the Asian
isn't
Cup was on. I thought it was next
Asian
year.
Cup. So you're right, Henry. There's a fixture pile up. But me and Robbie had a debate on AFTV last night, and it was quite a heated one, and it was going off. It was quite funny. I think you might have seen some of it, Henry, as well. So he basically made out that the League Cup is like, yeah. And for
But you ain't won it
30
in
years,
30 years.
30 years it's been now since we won it. Give me that trophy, man. Give me a trophy this year. So he asked a question, and the question was, would you rather win tonight, as in beat Brentford, or win against Bournemouth? You were only allowed 1, right? Now, there was 5 of us.
Win the cup game every day of the week. You win the cup game
Exactly.
every day of the week.
So I said, you want to stay in the trophy, and, if you lose to Bournemouth, you make it up in the league. You've got 34 games left to try and make them 3 points up, right? In the trophy, there's no, I will try and make it up. You're out, mate. So, yeah, off you go. So, for me, it's about silverware trophies, right? So, he said, if you could only give me 1, I'd beat Bournemouth and I'd get chucked out of this cup. Now, I just said, no, there's no way for that. But it's a good debate. They put it out in the poll, and a lot of people said, yeah, I'd rather beat Bournemouth because we're going for a league title. I personally feel, if you said to me now, what do you think you got more chance of winning, Dan? I'd say the Carabao Cup. Because we're already 4 points behind City, and we were 5 points clear of them with about 10 games left, and we still couldn't win the league. So to be 4 points behind them already, do not lose to Man City at the old Emirates, because it could be like 7 points then and everyone's worrying about it. So for me, I want to win a trophy this year, Henry, right? So I want to be going in as many trophies as we can. But I wanted to ask both of you.
Big
Exactly.
questions have got to be asked. 4 years into this process, admittedly, okay, he's done something we ain't done in 30 odd years, won an FA Cup. But you forget Chelsea, you spent a lot of money on good players, not playing this Monopoly thing where you just buy every player you want. The Cronkies have come out, Stan and Josh, and backed him with the players he wants. You brought in West Ham's, captain. You brought in, the likes of Jesus and Ben White and Partey and whoever you've bought, Trossard and that. If you don't win a trophy this year, then I think questions have got to be asked. Like, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be happy finishing second or third, winning the League Cup and the FA Cup. And I think you'd say it's a successful season. If you finish
Of course,
third,
it is 2 trophies. Wow. Yes.
if you finish third with no trophy, I'd be pulling my hair out. I'd be saying, look, I know it's still Champions League, but I feel like a lot of fans online just completely go, it's only the FA Cup, it's only the League Cup. But in 30 years' time, 40 years' time, you look back and go, do you remember that semi-final of the Champions League we lost? Or do you remember
Thank
that
you,
FA
mate.
Cup we won?
This is what I said. In
Remember that FA Cup
2029, well, we look back and go, what did Arsenal do in 2023? Don't you remember? We come third, mate.
We got a domestic double.
Or do they go, we won the FA Cup or the League Cup? What position did Arsenal come in 2009, Lee? Who cares? We didn't win anything.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, what I will say about it is, I think that's a silly question anyway. Like, what ones you want to wear? Because two completely different teams. Arsenal played yesterday. This is what Arsenal have got to go and try and win this League Cup without playing Saka, Rice, right? Okay, Saliba in any of these games. I don't want them anywhere near it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and yesterday, Brentford got injuries themselves, but I was speaking to a couple of Brentford fans. That was as strong as they could go with the injuries that they had yesterday, like, you know. And I expect that again on the next game. I don't want to see, I want to see like players like who's ever in goal, but like that back four yesterday, you know, Ben White can play in that because he doesn't play international football, you know what I mean? But the others, you know, can be spread around a little bit. Playing a few of the youngsters in there as well with the senior players. You know what I mean? Like Jorginho gets a full 90 minutes. Maybe Elneny gets the full 90 minutes next time, like, you know. And don't forget, like, you know, we won that game yesterday without Partey, without Rice, without Saliba, without Saka. You know, have I missed anybody out? I don't know. Anyway, but that's how... Yeah, that's how, you know, Timber as well. You could mention him, like. So
Martinelli, Timber,
Martinelli, Trossard, yeah. So listen, you know what I mean? There's a lot of players out yesterday. So if we can get those players back fit and all that, what I will say about this cup competition is it also gives players like Smith Rowe vital minutes yesterday, like vital minutes for so that they can be, you know, relied on a little bit more if they have to come on with 20 to 25 minutes to on Saturday. And
confidence as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, confidence, growing in a bit of confidence. That game, look at Nelson yesterday, how good he was, like, you know what I mean, for 60, 70 minutes. So I think that, you know, that's what you have to do in these games. Manchester City never played their strongest squad or strongest team in this competition. But what it proved was that they've got a good squad. And also, if you can beat West Ham and then you can go and beat another team and you're in a semi-final, well, all these players are thinking, well, this is with our second string, you know what I mean? Like, you know, just build confidence around the place. You know, the one good thing about it is I enjoyed the game yesterday because if we lost, it ain't the end of the world. I'm not going to be like losing no sleep over it. I didn't go to bed last night floating off hitting the ceiling, all happy and all that. It was just, you know, whether you win it, if we won, we won. If we lost, we lost. So just enjoy the bloody competition. That's what I say, like, you know, and hopefully you don't get any injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love winning trophies, man. And for someone who hasn't seen us win a league title in 20, European trophy in 30, and a League Cup in 30, that's why I want trophies, man, 100%. And we banter Tottenham enough for not winning trophies, so why should we brush them aside? You know, and that's the way I see it personally. Let's move into the weekend. Henry, you mentioned about Spurs and Liverpool. What's your thoughts going into this one? And then we'll touch on Arsenal-Bournemouth to kind of close. Because I honestly think I think Tottenham should go all out for this one against Liverpool, mate.
We should, but there's one word that haunts us every single game, and that is Salah. Every single game. His record, if you look at it, he's scored more goals against Tottenham than any other Big Six club. He always turns up. And something never, ever seems to click with us against Liverpool. Champions League final, 48 seconds in, Sissoko leaves his arm out, penalty. Last year at Anfield. Yeah, I bet you were loving that, weren't you? Last year at Anfield, under Conte, 1-0 up. Diaz, deflected goal. But in the 2 games in COVID, Bergwijn hits the post. Alderweireld heads it down into Alisson's hands. Dyer leaves Firmino through in the 94th minute. He scores a header. You know, we haven't won since we played. You remember that season we had at Wembley? That was the last time we beat Liverpool. We beat them 4-1. Harry Kane, Dele Alli, and Son scored the goals. And I think that was Klopp's second year. Since then, they've steamrolled us. You know, Wanyama scored the absolute worldie against Anfield. But how I see this game going, if Maddison and Basuma turn up, I think we will beat them. I don't think they've got a player in that midfield who will deal with Basuma. I look at the midfield they played at the weekend. I don't think that scoreline against West Ham reflects the game at all. West Ham had chances. I think they had 11 shots at goal. I look at Gravenberch. Hasn't really had a huge amount of game time yet. Good player, but Endo, I don't know. They've obviously got Szoboszlai, who's kind of like their Maddison, very good player, but I don't think they'll deal with our midfield. I think Udogie had a big test against Saka. You'd probably say Saka and Salah are the best right wingers in Europe, in European football. If you can deal with Saka, you go and deal with Salah, and now we're talking about a proper fullback. I think we'll win the game, though. You know, the crowd.
What are you going for? Prediction. What are you going for?
I'm going to go for a bit of an outrageous scoreline here. I'm going to go 3-2 Tottenham.
Oh.
There'll be goals. Liverpool always score against us.
Yeah, fair play. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. I think Spurs will beat them. Lee, what do you reckon?
2-1 Spurs. I think home advantage would be a key as well.
If we do beat Liverpool, and we've got our run of games is kind of a bit more easier, and let's say we get 10 games under our belt and we've not lost a game yet, do you think the media, like all these outlets, will compare what we're doing this season to what you did last year?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, would you have the same points as us in 10 games if that happens? I suppose you would.
Yeah, we'd have exactly the same amount of points. I think you won 8 and drawn 2 of your first 10. That's what we'd be on.
There you go. So
we've got Luton,
they will be.
Palace and Fulham next.
They will be, and you know, if you can keep that up,
unbearable, mate. Honestly, it'll be calling in TalkSport saying we're in a title race. Who needs the League Cup? We're going for the Champions League. Oh, it'll be unbearable.
There was a bloke ringing up about that, wasn't there? About the League Cup, saying he's glad they've gone out of it. Unbelievable.
The thing is, like, you know, after 10 games, we didn't think we was in a title race, but then after 20 games, you think, well, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? So you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to build the foundations. And the first 10 games are the foundations to see where you are.
Let's be honest as well. Liverpool could quite easily win this game. I'll just put it out there. It's not like a given, but yeah. God, Lee.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, of course they are. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, also you have to say, like the Sheffield United game, we had games like that when we was 1-0 down and then come back with 2 goals in the last couple of minutes, and it's all feel good factors, all things that can happen, like, you know, because you're riding that wave, and you know, as I say, at this moment in time, I don't think there's any pressure on Tottenham at the moment. Like, they can just enjoy what they're doing and going about it. And I think maybe because the expectations for Arsenal are a little bit different, that's why we're not enjoying it at the moment, because we're not playing that well. But, you know, because there's a little bit more expectation for us to win games, you know. So, but that's how it is. Spurs are just, it could easily happen. Ride a crest of a wave and see where it takes them, like, you know. And you know, and listen, like a year ago, you wouldn't have been saying, oh, like Tottenham would, I wouldn't say like guaranteed losing to Liverpool, but you wouldn't be saying like, you know, I'm backing Tottenham to win this game, you know. So listen, it's a good start from Spurs. It'd be an
interesting stat for you, though. Interesting stat. Tottenham are on the same points as they were last year, I was told. But
we are. But last year, I mean, we counter-attacking against flipping Everton away and things like that. I mean,
I don't mean the style of football was the same, but the points were the same.
No, but like it's context, isn't it? I mean, you haven't lost a game, but your performances haven't been what they were last year. You know,
this is true. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget, Spurs played 4 away games, then.
Yeah.
4 away games, 2 at home. We've played 4 at home, 2 away.
So, yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird how all like everyone has
Moment,
different. Yeah, it is weird how it
4
happens.
games away
Before-
from home unbeaten in the Premier League. That's not no mean feat. So
that's decent. That's very
yeah,
good. Very, very good. Before I move Arsenal quick, Henry, do you think Daniel Levy might have done this again? Everyone wants him out. Everyone hates him. Now they all like him again. What's
Mate, he
going
just
on?
dangles the carrot every time. Every time there's a big protest. Well, to be fair, we don't even protest properly, do we? There's like 400 people turn up, some geezer with an Ed Sheeran guitar, and then we're all singing about how we love Tottenham so much. So it's not really a protest. The one thing I will say is Daniel. I don't know if either of you saw Daniel Levy. They held a committee, a panel where the captain, the manager, and Daniel Levy, and they answer questions. And they weren't really football questions. It was like, Son, do you prefer Gucci or Prada? Like, if I'm sitting there fuming Son, I'm going to go, are you going to step up at the Emirates next week? Are you going to give us the win? Because we haven't won there in 10 years. Proper footballing questions. Every single time something bad happens, he dangles the carrot in front of us and we just bite onto it. This year, I want us to go all out for that FA Cup. I don't care. I'd finish 12th in the league, 13th in the league if it meant winning that FA Cup.
Yeah, that's fair.
Finally, we'd have something to say. Look, I mean, I was 12 years old. We won our last trophy. I'll be 28 next year. You know, I haven't won anything. You know, even for your worst period in the last 40 odd years, you still picked up a few FA Cups. We've got to win something. But, you know, apparently he's going to put big money into the academy. He wants to rival Man City with the best academy in the league. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. He's got a right manager. We've got a good play style. But I know as soon as we lose 2 or 3 games in a row, it's going to be,
It'll be Levy out again. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you've been honest about that. I knew you would be, to be fair, but I just thought I'd mention it because there's a lot of Tottenham fans that are all loving him again now, and they all wanted him out 3 weeks ago. But anyway, listen,
I still
Lee,
want him out. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no, I know you do, but you're not. You're a very exception, mate. There's not many that will. They all seem to flip and flop with him. Judges, Arsenal this weekend. I've been on a preview today of a Bournemouth lad, really good lad, Sam. Make sure you go watch it. Back of the net podcast. There's two podcasts. One's called Back of the Net, which is Bournemouth, and one's called Back of the Nest, which is Palaces. I gotta get both of them confused. Back of the Net. Make sure you go over there. And he asked me a question, Lee, and I kind of half stumbled or really had to think about it. What's Arsenal's team going to be? And I went, oh, well, it's going to be. And I got about halfway through it and I thought, hang on a minute. I don't know because we've got so many bloody injuries. I'm not actually too sure who's fit. So let me ask you, Lee Judges, and see if you stumble. What would your team be for the Bournemouth game, mate?
I'll go Ramsdale in goal.
Oh, okay. Let's stop there for a minute. Stop there for a minute. Go on. I bloody forgot to ask you this, and I wanted to before we closed. He was quality last night. I loved everything about him. The shithousery when he just turned around and looked at the crowd when they were giving it to him. I thought, you're a ledge, man. I love him. But I think he'll go with Raya. But
I think he will. But yeah, I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I think that I thought he played really well yesterday. Great save. Kicking was really, really good. I felt I like the fans got behind him. So I would go Ramsdale in goal, Ben White at right back, 2 central defenders, Saliba coming back and Gabriel, Shinchenko on the left. Midfield would be Rice if fit, which they're saying he probably will be. Odegaard, Vieira, and 3 up front for me would be on the right, Saka, down the middle, Jesus, and on the left, Reece Nelson.
Fair play. Reece Nelson's got to play, man. I mean, I think that performance last night is him saying to Mikel Arteta,
"Yes,
this is why you got to play me on. You should have played me against Spurs and not Eddie through the middle on Jesus.
He's on a new contract, you know, wasn't he? So like,
yeah. I mean, honestly, I thought him and Smith Rowe looked sharp. I thought that young kid looked really good, man. I can't lie.
Done okay.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who else is pushing for a start, Dan.
Go on.
Tomiyasu.
How good was he?
He was like really back to how he was before his injury, like, you know. So
I thought Ben White was poor, mate. I can't lie.
Yes, I think Ben White was poor yesterday.
I like Ben White, but he was poor.
But
I don't think he was that good against us either.
No, he was poor, really poor. Yeah,
I didn't think he was great. Done some good things, but I felt he was sloppy for a chance, which Tomiyasu had to block. I felt that a little bit like, like Ramsdale went in, had something to prove, done it. Tomiyasu went in there, had something to prove. Reece Nelson went in there and something to prove, and Smith Rowe. So it was all good performances. I thought Gabriel was good in there. Ben White, I thought was a little bit, hit and miss. But I'd still play Ben White, and I thought Jorginho done well in midfield as well. So all the ones that you would hoping that would come in and do well did. So for me, that's what I'm right, but I'm with you on that one, Dan. I think Reece Nelson said, right, I should be playing wide left, and this is the reason why. And that, Mikel can say, oh, Eddie that does well in training and all that. Well, he done it on a game, and I think that's the key,
Yeah, Reece Nelson was my man of the match, closely followed between Gabriel and Tomiyasu, who I thought were immense all night, if I'm honest. But Reece Nelson just did not stop running, got the goal, and for me was outstanding. I think my team was very similar, same back five that I think it will be. I actually put Jorginho because I didn't know that Rice was fit. If Rice is fit, of course, Rice is coming in, but I didn't know that he was. I don't know what happened to Vieira. Wasn't even part of the squad, was he?
No, so whether he's picked up an injury or not, I know he got.
I don't know if he's injured, because if it ain't him, it'll be Havertz and Ødegaard, and then I think the front three, like you say, Nelson will come in there. But I don't know. I wanted to just touch on Havertz really quickly, Lee, because I'm starting to get a little bit peeved now, bruv. I'm all for giving players time, but when you've had 3 years already in the same league, I don't think we should be doing this too much. And I know everyone will go, oh, Dan, let it go. But I never really got this time for Pepe, and he was actually scoring and creating goals. And everyone just went, this guy's crap. Like, why are we giving this guy loads and loads of times, And like James Benj put out a tweet, I don't really know James, to be honest, but he's put out a tweet which was quite embarrassing, really. Like, in the first 15 minutes of the game, he's headed the ball twice here, and it's looking really good.
Both of them were defending corners, weren't they?
What is going on here? What are we celebrating headers for now from a guy we spent £65 million on? I just don't get it, mate. I don't get him.
He done okay yesterday. He made a good chance for Nelson when Nelson put wide. They were fit, but okay isn't good enough. Okay isn't good enough.
Okay, it's not 65 million quid, is it?
No,
it's not good enough. Okay is not good enough for Ramsdale. Okay is not good enough for Smith Rowe. Okay is not good for Tomiyasu. Okay was certainly not good enough for Tierney. But okay seems to be all right for Havertz, and it seems to be all right for Eddie.
But there's so much protection around him. So much protection. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this.
I feel that, it's got to start working now. Otherwise, there's pressure on Arteta because to get it right. Listen, yesterday, I think Mikel got everything spot on yesterday, from the team to the substitutions to everything. There was a part of that game I felt that we was just starting to lose it. He brought all the big players on, you know what I mean, and that. Listen, you can sugarcoat it as much as you like. You can make up statistics about Havertz. You can do that. At this moment in time, he is not doing the business. He's doing okay, as I said. You know what I mean. Had an okay game yesterday, but when you're playing for Arsenal, okay is not good enough no more. It was good enough a couple of years ago. It's not now, because you're pushing for bigger honours now, like Champions League and FA Cup. They're not easy competitions, and you need to be firing on all cylinders. And at the moment, he's not. And there is a player there. There is a player there. Don't get me wrong, but at the moment, we're not seeing it.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I asked Robbie last night what he wants to see, and he says, I want to see him dominate a game, and we won that game because of Kai Havertz. I don't even want to go to that extreme yet. I just want to look at the game of football and go, God, weren't Havertz good today? His press, he won everything in midfield. He was going forward. He linked up. He scored. He assisted. He was really impressive today. I can't say any of that, and it's for me, I think what we need to do now, I don't know if this will happen, but he's not starting for me. And there's no way he should be starting in this 11, right? But the only game that anyone said he played half decent in was the Community Shield against Man City. And he was playing up top. Now, I'm not saying he needs to start up top. That's quite the opposite. But do you think, Lee, we could utilise him now as a bit more of a sub in a different position? So he comes on, gives us a different dimension, a little bit like an Olivier Giroud type impact. Try and do something like that because it ain't working for him in that position, man. He's so negative, keeps it safe. Oh, he just passes it back. He don't drive forward. And there's a chance last night where he just got hit it with his left foot, which I'm told he's left-footed. He's trying to cut it on his right. Just hit it.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
he's lacking a little bit of confidence. But someone just went in the chat, just gone past now. As let's give him a little bit more. Like Grealish had a year before he started really doing the business. You know what I mean? So I get that. I do get that.
He was doing 3 years at Villa, or top level at Villa, wasn't he? Whereas Havertz ain't done that at Chelsea, has he either?
Yeah, but it don't matter. It don't matter what he done at Villa. It's what he does now. I don't care what he done at Chelsea. Scored in the Champions League final. If he plays like crap like he has now and scores us a winning goal in the Champions League final, will we forgive him? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? At the moment, it's only 7 games gone. But when you look at those 7 games, it's not been impressive at this moment in time. And
no.
That's how I see it. You know what I mean? Like we'll see how good he is, in the next couple of weeks. But for me, at this moment in time, I was looking at Havertz yesterday, and I felt like if you was going at who's the best players, you would turn around and go like, well, Tomiyasu, Gabriel. Then it was, Jorginho, Nelson played well. The kid played well on the right hand side. You're not mentioning Havertz at this moment in time, and that's the thing. If he played really, really well, and dominates games, that's what. I'm not being horrible. That's what he's got to do. Did Maddison dominate the game at the weekend? No, but was he contributed and what was he the best player in the park? Yes. It ain't about dominating a game of football. It's about doing your job and doing it properly, and that's what I want to see from him. Like, you know what I mean? I'm seeing bits of it. There was a bit of the game yesterday, Dan. I don't know if you noticed it. Ramsdale kicked the ball out. He made this fantastic touch. I think he played it down to Jorginho. It was fantastic. The next time he got the ball, he lost it. He miscontrolled it, and you're thinking, come on, do this and do that, Listen, if he scores a goal, maybe things will change. But I felt he was a little bit out of his depth in the North London derby, if I'll be really honest. So he's got to start. He's got to start contributing without a doubt. And at the moment,
you know what he looks like. He looks like he doesn't want the ball. He looks like he's so shot of confidence.
Yeah, great point.
If he makes a mistake, I mean, all this 007, 008 crap that's going on. I mean, it's like the thing is with Arsenal fans, they're so protective. We were a little bit like it with Dele Alli the last couple of years. Oh, he's going to come good. He's going to come good, and then the rival fans saying, "No, you need to get rid of him." Or Eric Lamela. I just don't see where he plays. If everyone's fully fit and firing, where does he come on and go, he's going to change the game for us off the bench? Like, you look at Nelson, if he comes off the bench, you know what he's going to bring. He's a quick wide player who will get in behind. Right? Or Giroud, he's going to dominate in the air. What does Havertz excel at that's going to take you to the next level? For £65 million, obviously you've had a lot of good business. I mean, it's early doors. He could turn into a world beater. Who knows? But I just think at the moment, I don't know what he's going to bring to Arsenal to make you go that next step and keep pushing City like Liverpool did. Liverpool brought in Cody Gakpo for 40 million quid, who's a very, very good player who can play left wing, right wing, through the middle, who scores goals and is a quick, creative, pacey player. I look at Havertz at 65 million. And I'm like, what do you do? Is he an attacking midfielder? Does he play out wide? Is he a false 9? Is he a striker? What does he? Because Chelsea fans were so happy to get rid of him. Arsenal have taken him, and now because things haven't started so good, they're praising defensive headers. You're an attacking midfielder. I've never seen anything like this in my life. If Maddison come to us and had the same start Havertz did, I'd be on him like there is no tomorrow. Because you either adapt or you perish. You're playing for Arsenal Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the country that are in a title race, playing in the Champions League, that are competing in 4 competitions. You have got, if you're not performing, Alex Ferguson, you're not performing for him, you're hooked. I mean, there's none of this excuses stuff.
I agree. And this is where the pressure comes on Arteta. This is where it comes on Arteta,
And that's his signing as well. He wanted it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Look, Sort it out.
Yeah, man. Listen, when you stand in the rain, you can't moan when you get wet, can you? And Arteta has got to do that now. You know, he's got to make this work, man. He's
Your fans
done
were
this
comparing him
himself.
to flipping Dennis Berg. Oh, we got the new Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis
Yeah, Van
Bergkamp
Persie.
walk in the
Van Persie,
snow,
someone said, yeah.
right?
Van
Dennis
Persie, I thought
Bergkamp
you
walk
were
in the
joking.
snow and leave no footprints. He was that good. He was mustard. One of the best players I've seen in my life. Do you know how insulting that is to compare him to him?
I
Come
know,
on.
I know.
You know,
It's embarrassing.
listen, we've got to give him a little bit more time, but like, you know, the time will run out, and you know, there is pressure on him to perform. I do see a player in there. I really do. I do see a player in there, but at this moment in time, it's a little bit of a worry, I have to say.
Yeah, it really is. Let's go with a prediction before we close for this game. I've gone 2-0 to the Arsenal. Lee, what do you reckon?
1-0 to the Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal. Henry?
Yeah, 2-0. Yeah, I think you'll win. I mean, we won there. They Bournemouth they're a good Premier League side, but they're too good to get relegated. They're not good enough to get up into the top half of the table. I think you'll win 2-0.
Fair play, man. Fair play.
We'll take that. We'll take that, Henry. We'll take that.
Yeah, we will take that. I'll take another clean sheet as well because we seem to be able to keep clean sheets away from home, but not at home. Embarrassing, really, but there we go. Listen, let's hope some injuries are back. The players are back from injury, and they're getting ready for the Lens game, and of course Manchester City the following week. Big up Henry for coming on. Obviously, we were supposed to have Sean,
Henry,
he was not well.
Pleasure.
So Henry, thank you so much, man. How can people get hold of you, mate?
Yeah, it's just at Henry Wright TV. If anyone wants to subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. We're close to 17k now. I'm going to be at the game, so there'll be no watch long. I'm going actually to watch us hopefully beat Liverpool, but I've got a bad feeling. But, you know, if anyone wants to subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. And thanks for having me back on as always.
No, always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. We'll be back next week with this show. We are going to do it a little bit later next week so that everyone can watch the Big Six before us because obviously everyone loves that. And big up Turkish and the guys over there. So we're going to try that next week so that more people can come and watch us live. Judges, I'll let you see us out, bruv.
No worries. Listen, everybody have a great weekend. And Henry, have a lovely Sunday. Take care.